Come on, Toby. So yesterday, I started planting some potatoes. I strapped a middle buster plow on the back of my tractor and dug it into the ground. And I started digging trenches that were about 6 inches deep and 50 feet long. It felt really great being out there working on a tractor. It made me feel like a real gosh darn farmer. Once I had the trenches dug, I prepped my seed potatoes by cutting them apart so that they would give me the maximum yield. And then I just casually walked down these rows, dropping little potato to little potato about 8 inches apart, all the way up and down each of the 3 rows that I dug. And then I came back around with my hoe. And I covered it up with dirt. In a couple of weeks, I'll probably have to hump them up and cover the potatoes again, and might even do it a 3rd time. But for right now, I just have the happiness and satisfaction of knowing that I'll be getting a whole bunch of potatoes later this year. Those potatoes will really be used to feed my wife and me and my friends and family. I mean, this isn't like a crazy amount of potatoes, and it's not like I'm gonna need farm subsidies for growing potatoes or the USDA should be looking out. I'm not trying to sell them. I'm not trying to really make a profit off of this. This is just something I've always wanted to do because so much of our farm is based on animals and working with trees that I never get a chance to really grow annual crops. Last year, I experimented with trying to grow a bunch of corn and squash and beans all in this area, and it was a complete failure. I did everything I possibly could wrong. This year, I'm giving it a shot with potatoes to see if I can get just a little bit better. I've got the help of my tractor these days, which makes the work a lot less labor intensive. And we're gonna see how this grand experiment goes. Morning, Toby dog.
Oh my gosh, buddy. How did you get so muddy? What were you doing last night? Oh boy.
You are such a muddy puppy dog. Look at his paws, they're so filthy. What were you doing? I bet you were having some fun there, huh, buddy? Good morning, weird chickens. Hey, Penny. Hey, Bernie. Oh boy, still waiting on those hatchlings. Release the Kraken! Good to see you, little ducks. How's everybody doing? What you up to there, Cayuga duck? You look like you're up to mischief. I got a treat this morning for the chickens. Got some old stale rolls that I think they're gonna like. I usually like to feed them these rolls out here so that the ducks don't eat them. Rise and shine, chickens. Toby, hey, get out of there. Toby! Look at them, they're like little land piranhas. I love it.
I'm a piranha.
This will be gone in just a minute. Do you even like that, Toby? I got a better surprise for you today for dinner, for breakfast, I mean. You were pretty smart, Bard Rock. You took it all the way out here. Yeah, you should never feed ducks or geese bread, but chickens absolutely go crazy for it. You know, Toby, we're trying to keep you grain-free. You're not even really eating it, man. You're like gumming it. Hey, sit. Sit. It's for the chickens. Look at Barbara. Toby, you get so jealous of the chickens and their food. I think it's because the chickens are always harassing Toby when he eats, that he has a tendency to harass the chickens when they eat. It's somewhat adorable. But don't worry, Toby, by the end of this video, I'm gonna feed you a nice big steak. I got a special treat for the Goslings this morning. Some friends gave me a couple pounds of frozen peas, and I've been dishing them out to the Goslings because it's such a good nutrition source for them, and they go absolutely crazy for it. Rise and shine, little goslings. Time to come out. I love watching the little goslings feast. And some of them aren't so much little goslings anymore. You can see with this one, right? He's definitely starting to get his adult feathers. You can see them all coming in here. Still got some of the baby fuzz, so still needs heat lamps at night, but definitely on their way to adulthood. Meanwhile, you guys remember that freaky looking gosling? The one that I had to hatch out myself? That's him right there. He's doing really good. He's actually one of the biggest goslings of his whole class. You can see all of the brothers and sisters that are the same age are actually even a little bit smaller, even though he was the youngest and smallest at one point. And this one right here, she's my little sweetheart. She's just smaller than everybody, but growing pretty well, so I'm not too worried about her health. She's pretty gosh darn adorable. And yeah, everybody remains very curious about the young goslings, including Toby. Come on in, bud. You can visit. I think Toby just wants to be here because of me, not so much because of the goslings. But it's definitely showing that the goslings are getting used to Toby, and Toby's getting used to the goslings. There's nothing more adorable than watching goslings run. That's another truth. Yeah, they're starting to swim more too, even the little guys. You know, when I first started harboring fantasies of living on a farm and being a farmer, I definitely had this delusion that so much of what I would raise and grow would be for myself and my family, and so much of the farm would be about growing good food for Allison and me. But what I've really come to appreciate over the last couple of years is that you can't try to do everything. You know, I think there has been so many times when I've screwed stuff up because I've had too many irons in the fire and I've been trying to do way too much around the farm. And most of my success has actually come from having focus and specializing in certain things. And a lot of times too, when people think about the lessons and awful truths of big agriculture and big farmers, they think that by specializing, you're losing the magic of what a small farmer should be. And there's probably some truth to that as well. But what I really think it comes down to is that, like most things in life, there is a balance you need to strike.
Balance is key.
On some levels, you're gonna want to specialize and focus and have certain things that you're good at. Like, I feel like growing trees or raising waterfowl are one of those things that we're better at, not great at, but better. And then there's gonna be some things like growing peas where I'm just not that good at, but I've got friends who are really good at it, and so I get a whole bunch of peas. Or I gotta go to the store and buy rolls for dinner. And on some level, as the guy who dreams of being a farmer and a homesteader, that smarts your pride a little bit. But on another level, as I've had my fair share of failures and getting overwhelmed by trying to do too much, I realize there's a certain necessity to it. Yet pushing your skills and still being somewhat of a generalist and still being somewhat of a person who is experimenting and trying new things and learning new things, like growing potatoes, I think that's kind of the beauty of it. And so as I continue to try to learn and grow and become a better farmer, I'm realizing that it needs to be this combination of trying completely new things and testing my skills and pushing myself a little bit, but then also focusing and specializing and getting better at things. As I'm gearing up and doing some things right now to get ready for the cattle to show up on the farm, and yes, it's an absolute inevitability, I am becoming acutely aware of that lesson. So take that one for what it's worth. So the other day, a friend actually gave me some beef. And they gave it to me though with the condition that I can't just eat all of it myself and Allison can't just eat all of it. We actually have to share a little bit of it with Mr. Toby Dog. And so I actually have some of it right here. So let's go surprise Toby Dog. Hey buddy. Can I help you with something? Oh wow, you look like you're being the bestest behaved boy I've ever seen because you know something good's on the horizon. Well, come with me, pal. Come on, Toby. Come on, Toby, I'm gonna take you away from the harassment of chickens and ducks. Okay, we're gonna sit. We're gonna stay. Sit. Okay, pal, bon appetit. Yeah, this is for you now. Go ahead, Toby. Go ahead. Where are you going? Whenever Toby gets like a really good piece of food, he like knows he has to guard it from all the other animals, and so he takes it away from where I've fed it to him, and he chows down on it as much as he can. And I mean, can you really blame him? He is like straight up boa constrictoring this steak. Uh-oh. The piranhas are coming. How's he gonna keep his steak safe? Better eat it, buddy. I know, Toby, I like the visual of you eating a whole steak, but I realize it's tough for you to, hey, no, stop. I'm just gonna cut this up. Hang on. Let me cut it up for you, hang on.
Oh wow, look at that. Who's a member of the Clean Plate Club? You are good, buddy.
Once I cut that up into bite-sized pieces, he made some quick work of it. Well, the little goslings just ate all their peas. Looks like they're ready for a nap. How are you doing, little one? Now, I don't know if my potato experiment is gonna be successful or a complete failure, but I am very committed to every single year trying something new and trying something different when it comes to growing food. And I look forward to the skills I'm gonna be able to build. Speaking of building, by the way, I'm actually in the space that is our new kitchen garden. As you may recall from previous years, this was generally the space where we had the garden, but it was about half the size. Now we have really built it out. I've got cedar raised beds that came from the lumber milled from our property. I'm starting to bring in mulch for the walkways. We've got a lot of our seedlings already planted. We're still waiting for it to warm up just a little bit more before we get the more cold sensitive stuff like tomatoes out here. And I also have to put up a fence so that we don't get eaten alive by groundhogs or escapee chickens like this gal right here. What are you doing, Marty? If you guys are curious about what our garden looked like last year, check out this video. We did it back in July and Allison gives like a full garden tour. And just thinking back on that video has got me dreaming about what we're gonna be able to grow this year.